everyone. I'm Kevin Nelson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. Pope Francis opened the consistory of the world's Cardinals February 12th. The main objective, discuss reform of the Curia. Roman Reports takes it to the Vatican for more.
This was the environment at the Vatican this morning, just before Pope Francis met with 160 cardinals. The Pope called the meeting to hear the cardinals' views on Roman Curia reform. He has made simplifying the Vatican one of his top objectives. He mentioned that reforming the Curia was a top concern as the last conclave began. Pope Francis then explained what changes he had planned.
La meta da raggiungere è sempre quella di favorire maggiore armonia nel lavoro dei vari dicasteri e uffici, a fine di realizzare una più efficace collaborazione, in quell'assoluta trasparenza che edifica l'autentica sinodalità e la vera collegialità.
The Pope recalled that reform is not an end in itself. Rather, the changes are meant to, quote, strengthen Christian testimony and encourage more effective evangelization. The goal is improving the bureaucracy so that Vatican departments better help the papacy and also the Church as a whole.
Con questo spirito di collaborazione inizia il nostro incontro che sarà fecondo grazie al contributo che ciascuno di noi potrà esprimere con parresia. Fedeltà al Magistero.
The meetings will conclude Friday afternoon. Cardinals who will be created the next day are also participating.
During the meeting, the Pope proposed creating two new large Vatican offices, the Congregation for Laity, Family and Life, and the Congregation for Charity, Justice and Peace. The Charity and Justice Congregation would include the existing pontifical councils for healthcare and for migrants, but also would have a new section dedicated to safeguarding creation. In news from around the world, the Irish Church's monitoring watchdog, the National Board for Safeguarding Children in the Catholic Church, recently published 16 reviews on the implementation of policies in religious congregations, 8 male orders and 8 female orders. Teresa Devlin, the board's chief executive, said she was disappointed that for the majority of orders, safeguarding has only been embraced in the last couple of years. She said she was concerned that 7 of the male congregations had considerable work to do. In a statement, Archbishop Diarmuid Martin of Dublin said it was appalling that some major religious congregations had delayed fully implementing the Church's child protection guidelines. He said he would seek assurances from religious congregations in his diocese that they are rigidly following child protection guidelines. Archbishop Martin said that while improvements have been made, the failures and delays that have emerged point to the need to ensure greater systems of accountability of church authorities in the area of child safeguarding. Back to the Vatican we go. This week marked the second anniversary of Pope Benedict XVI's retirement. In an interview with an Italian newspaper, Archbishop Georg Genswein, prefect of the papal household and personal secretary to the retired pope, said that Pope Benedict XVI has never doubted his decision to resign, knowing it was the right thing to do for the good of the Church. Archbishop Genswein told the newspaper that in addition to the Pope's usual routine of prayer, reading, keeping up with correspondence, receiving visitors, watching the evening news, and walking in the Vatican gardens, he's been playing the piano much more often. The Archbishop added that the soon-to-be 88-year-old Pope, who has had a pacemaker for several years and uses a cane, still has an incredibly sharp mind. More news now from the Vatican. At his weekly general audience this past week, Pope Francis continued a series of talks about the family, focusing on children, the birth rate, and the lack of births in Europe. Catholic News Service has more from a chilly St. Peter's Square.
Pensiamo a tante società che conosciamo qui in Europa. Sono società depresse perché non vogliono i figli, non hanno i figli. Il livello di nascita non arriva all'1%. Perché? Ognuno di noi la pensi e risponda. Se una famiglia generosa di figli, viene guardata come se fosse un peso, c'è qualcosa che non va. La generazione dei figli deve essere responsabile, come insegna anche l'enciclica Umane Vitae del Beato Papa Paolo VI, ma avere più figli non può diventare automaticamente una scelta irresponsabile. Più non avere figli è una scelta egoistica.
And finally in the news, seminarians at St. Vincent de Paul Regional Seminary in Boynton Beach, Florida, recently hosted an annual retreat for 320 young adults. 6 years ago, seminarians felt called to minister to fellow young adults, so they opened the doors of the seminary for a day to dedicate to the deepening of their faith. In its inaugural year, the retreat had 80 participants. This year, that number quadrupled. The presence of many fellow Catholics was also invaluable to retreatants. The Boynton Beach Seminary is the only institution that unites all 7 dioceses of Florida. Every year, participants share that the retreat has rekindled their faith. Others have shown interest in a religious vocation. And vocations in Florida are on the rise. This past December, the major seminary added 2 more dormitories to accommodate the growing number of students. With 91 seminarians, St. Vincent de Paul is seeing the largest number of enrollment in its history. For the retreat, the numbers continue to grow as well. Next year, the seminary expects the number of participants to grow up to 500. Well, that is all the information we have for you this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.